Another part of the story has been unraveling, and it's important because, keep in mind, it could be all about a group of powerful but unaccountable people trying to spin you. The story concerns an alternative theory of the alleged sexual assault featuring an alternative suspect. It was floated by an attorney named Ed Whelan. His conservative connections in the Washington legal and political world run deep. He's, according to the Washington Post, part of the effort to secure Judge Kavanaugh's confirmation. Why he did what he did, how he did it, and on whose behalf, if any, are now key questions, which Democrats may ask Judge Kavanaugh next week. There's new reporting tonight in Politico that he did not do what he did on his own. Now, the story erupted last night after Whelan sent out a series of tweets, which he's since taken down. In them, he said that Professor Ford may have mistaken Brett Kavanaugh for a different classmate. Now, what's more, and this is one reason we're staying far away from those tweets, Whelan actually named that classmate whom he suggests may have sexually assaulted Professor Ford, who was 15 at the time. The man is now a middle school teacher. We're obviously not compounding any damage by giving out his name. However, the Washington Post contacted Professor Ford. She said, yes, she remembered that person, but no, he is not the one. She even recalled being friendly enough with that person that she once visited him in the hospital. By this morning, Whelan was apologizing for making, quote, an appalling and inexcusable mistake. Since then, questions have grown about whether this was all part of a coordinated campaign, one to obviously take the spotlight off Judge Kavanaugh and put it on someone else. That's because of how this all seemed to come together in the pro-Kavanaugh biosphere. Watch what Judiciary Committee member Orrin Hatch said on Monday.
He wasn't at the party, so, there's clearly somebody's mixed up. I think she's mistaken. I think she's mistaken something, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know her.
So there he is saying someone's mixed up. I think she's mistaken something. Now, the comments got some attention, but at the time, there was no massive significance to them. A lot of lawmakers were talking about the allegations. Fast forward to Wednesday, when Ed Whelan, the lawyer, and others began dropping more hints that more along the lines of what Senator Hatch said was coming. Whelan tweeted, quote, a horrific incident similar to the one the accuser alleges may well have occurred, but if so, she's got the wrong guy. Kavanaugh wasn't present, as this and much more will confirm. Matt Whitlock, a staffer for Orrin Hatch, also tweeted in the run-up to this to, quote, keep an eye on Ed's tweets in the next few days. Then yesterday, Whelan let loose, laying out his doppelganger theory. And this morning, right on cue, Fox and Friends rolled it out to their audience.
He looked at what Christine Ford told the Washington Post and figured out, okay, these people were named, these 4 people, where did they live? And looked at what she had said and figured out what house it may have happened at, because it was the house closest to the golf course. Yeah. And then realized whose house it was and looked at a picture of the young man who lived there at the time, who was a classmate of Mr. Kavanaugh's, put up side-by-side images. They look a lot alike.
Again, today, Whelan took down the tweets, apologized. Then late today, another twist, Politico, citing 3 sources, reported that an outfit called CRC Public Relations advised him on how to hype the theory. Politico also reporting that Judge Kavanaugh was not aware of what his friend Ed was doing on his own behalf. Less clear, though, in any of the reporting is whether or not Mr. Whelan coordinated with the White House or Judiciary Committee. According to the Washington Post, Kavanaugh and his allies, unspecified allies, have privately discussed mounting a defense along the lines of the Whelan tweets, namely one that would not question whether an incident involving Ford happened, but instead would raise doubts that the attacker was Kavanaugh. Separately, today, the president's relative restraint about going after the accuser seemed to disappear. He tweeted, quote, I have no doubt that if the attack on Dr. Ford was as bad as she says, charges would have been immediately filed with local law enforcement authorities by either her or her loving parents. I ask that she brings those filings forward so that we can learn date, time, and place. Well, this drew a sharp reaction by a member of the Judiciary Committee, a Republican member.
I was appalled by the president's tweet. First of all, we know that allegations of sexual assault, I'm not saying that's what happened in this case, but we know that allegations of sexual assault are one of the most unreported crimes that exist. So I thought that the president's tweet was completely inappropriate and wrong.
Well, that, after a remarkable week and day, is where things stand tonight. Joining us is CNN Global Affairs analyst and Washington Post columnist Max Boot. He's just written about this for The Post. With us as well is Carrie Severino, Chief Counsel and Policy Director of the Judicial Crisis Network, which supports Judge Kavanaugh. Carrie, as I said earlier, Whelan was reportedly working with a PR firm on this theory. I understand you're also represented by the same PR firm. Just for the record, have they advised you on this story at all? Have they given you any talking points or guidance on how to frame this?
You know, I saw this at the same time everyone else did. I saw it in Ed's Twitter feed and was as surprised as anyone on this. But, you know, I think the key thing is here isn't what Ed Whelan tweeted. It's what is going on with this story, because we've seen, obviously, these allegations coming out, published by the Washington Post and by everyone else, that frankly are very thin facts to support them. It would be very helpful for everyone to have the opportunity to hear Dr. Ford. And right now we're in this back and forth negotiation between the Senate Judiciary Committee and her, and coming up on a 10 p.m. deadline to find out, is she willing to take their counteroffer, granting several of her requests in order to testify before the committee. I think that would really help clear a lot of this up.
Right. I don't think you exactly answered, and I just want to give you the opportunity to answer. Just for the record, that PR firm that Whelan was working with, that you apparently have some connection to, have they given you any advice on talking points or this idea?
Well, that's my PR firm. So when you guys said we're talking about Ed Whelan, I said, I haven't seen this. Does that sound like the right thing to say? Sure. I mean, this is the question is really, are we going to have this hearing, and that is this going to go forward? Not some conspiracy theory that I know you're interested in on this. But
I'm sorry. Oh, wait, I don't understand what you said. I have a PR person. I know how PR works. I'm not clear. Did the PR firm give you the same talking points they get at Whelan? Is this something that was coordinated?
No, they. Look, you know how this works. I'm coming on your panel. They say, here are the topics you're going to talk about. I say, great. Okay, I know about this. I know about this. And here we've talked about before. Here's what I'm saying on this. And that's
so they didn't.
That's how we
so
talk
they
about it.
didn't say, there's this alternate theory. Here's some of the evidence of it.
No,
Talk
not at
about
all.
that.
No. I mean, that's Ed Whelan's theory. I'm not. That's not my game here.
All right.
I'm more concerned about the Judiciary Committee, and are we going to get to a moment where we can actually get some closure on this, or at least get to hear some more of the information? And they have, as I said, acceded to as many of her requests as they could. They've offered to delay the hearing now till Wednesday. They said that she could have a single camera in the room only, et cetera. So
they didn't agree to an investigation, though, which is probably one of her biggest requests.
They have been, in fact, performing an investigation. I mean, the Senate Judiciary Committee has investigative powers as well. So they've taken testimony from Judge Kavanaugh, from Mark Judge, from another man who was allegedly at the party, and they've reached out to several of the people who were alleged to be at the party, as well as Dr. Ford, and that's under penalty of felony. So the Democrats ought to be participating in that. It's something that's supposed to be a bipartisan investigatory process, and the Democrats, instead of actually participating in the investigation, have chosen to try to pretend that somehow handing it off to the FBI is going to get a lot more accomplished. It's not.
Max?
They have the opportunity. They should be taking it.
Max, what Ford wanted was the FBI.
Well, of course, the FBI should be involved in this, Anderson, as they were in the Clarence Thomas case and all other cases. But it's striking to me how Kerry doesn't want to talk about what Ed Whelan did. And I have to sit here and tell you, I am ashamed to call myself a conservative when I have seen the kind of smear tactics, the kind of McCarthyism that Ed Whelan engaged in. I have seen a lot of crazy and callous things in Washington, Anderson. This is the most crazy and callous I've ever seen. In order to get his friend, Brett Kavanaugh, confirmed onto the Supreme Court, he named another person as a sexual criminal.
Who's a middle school teacher.
An innocent person put his name out there, put his picture out there. This is despicable. This is disgusting. Why hasn't Brett Kavanaugh disavowed this? Why hasn't he denounced this? Why don't people like Kerry disavow and denounce this? This is nauseating. This is, to me, part, and I say this as a lifelong conservative, this is part of this descent into madness of the conservative movement, which is led by a conspiracy theorist and Donald Trump, and they have adopted his win-at-all-cost ethos. They don't care what norms they break. They don't care what rules they violate. They don't care what lives they destroy. All they care about is getting political wins, like getting Brett Kavanaugh confirmed to the Supreme Court. One other point, Anderson, we need to find out if Brett Kavanaugh was involved in this, because Ed Whelan is not just some random guy off the street. This is not Alex Jones. He is a pillar of the Washington legal establishment. He is a friend of Brett Kavanaugh. He is involved in trying to get Brett Kavanaugh confirmed. So Brett Kavanaugh needs to go under oath and answer questions. Did he know about this smear attack? And if he did know it, he needs to withdraw immediately. That would be disqualifying in and of itself.
Carrie, is it appropriate what Whelan did, putting out the name of somebody else?
Look, he has already apologized for that, and I absolutely agree. He should not have put the name and picture out as he did, for the same reasons that I'm frustrated that the Democrats leaked Dr. Ford's allegation.
No, you are engaging in whataboutism. There's no parallel
I
here.
think
This is disgusting
I'm not,
what you are
because
doing.
I'm saying he was also wrong.
There is no comparison between this. The Democrats did not leak Dr. Ford's name. She came out herself on Sunday and gave an interview with the Washington Post.
Somebody leaked it, and the Democrat senator and the Democrat congressman and their staff.
They did not leak her name. You are not telling the truth.
They leaked the story.
She came out on Sunday, okay?
They leaked the story. Someone, it was only the Democrats and her that
there
had the
was,
story.
in fact, a report in the Washington Post right now that Ed Whelan knew her name before it was made public. And so that's something that needs to be investigated by the House Judiciary Committee, by the Senate Judiciary Committee.
We're going to leave it there. Carrie Severino, Max Boot, appreciate it.